Good morning, everyone. This is a review of the endocrine system. The endocrine system is our body's messaging network. It's made up of glands that produces special chemicals called the hormones. And these hormones travel through the blood vessel to deliver important messages to the target cells. And these target cells are located at the different parts of the body. These hormones act as our tiny messengers that tell us if we're hungry, when to grow, how to use energy from food, and even how to feel emotions. So endocrine system helps to maintain internal homeostasis through the use of these hormones. Before we understand endocrine system, we need to remember that when there's too little hormone, then there's hyposecretion. When there's too much hormone, it leads to hypersecretion. So endocrine system helps maintain hormone balance in the body. Like what I said, when the hormone level gets too high, endocrine system slows down production. And when it gets too low, it speeds up production. So this careful balance is called hormone regulation. One example of which is the hypothalamus releases thyrotropin releasing hormone, or the TRH. It causes the pituitary gland to release thyroid stimulating hormone. This is the pituitary. Then TSH then stimulates the thyroid to release thyroid hormones T3 and T4. They feed back to the hypothalamus, going back, the arrow here, and the pituitary, inhibiting the release of TRH, the thyrotropin releasing hormone, and TSH, which then lowers thyroid hormone production. So simply put, like what I said, when there's too little, then endocrine system, to maintain its balance, will produce enough. When then there's too much, endocrine system will level it for regulation. So endocrine system is controlled by the hypothalamus in the central nervous system. So the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland are the master switch and the master gland. The hypothalamus links the nervous system to the pituitary, which in turn controls all other endocrine glands. Example of which are thyroid stimulating hormone like the thyrotropin, adrenocorticotropic hormone, or corticotropin, and growth hormone, which is somatotropin. So the hypothalamus also produces two hormones that are stored in the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. These are neurohypophysis, which is located in the posterior pituitary. It stores and releases hormones produced by the hypothalamus, and the function is it regulates fluid balance through the hormones it releases. So these hormones are the antidiuretic hormone, or the vasopressin, and the oxytocin. The anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, this one, also called the adenohypophysis, produces two types of hormones. We have the tropic, under which is the thyroid stimulating hormone, which influences the secretion of thyroid hormones, and adrenocorticotropic hormone, or the ACTH, which influences the secretion of adrenal cortex hormones. And last one is gonadotropic hormones, which influences the secretions of gonads for both male and female, the follicle stimulating and the luteinizing hormone. For the non-tropic hormones, we have the growth hormones, which stimulates normal body growth, And we have the melanocyte-stimulating hormone, which stimulates melanocytes to produce melanin, and the prolactin, which stimulates production of milk from the mammary glands. So let's have a review of the glands. We have the adrenal gland. This is the most active gland under stress because of its hormone has anti-stress function. We have the adrenal medulla, which produces catecholamines, epi, and norepi, acting as neurotransmitters of the SNS, or the sympathetic nervous system. We have the adrenal cortex. This is a review of our SNS and PNS. Okay, produces three hormones, which are mineralocorticoids, which produces aldosterone, glucocorticoids, produces cortisol, and androgen, which produces testosterone. Then we move on to the pancreas. Under the pancreas, we have the alpha, beta, and delta cells. Alpha cells produces glucagon that regulates glucose in the body by increasing its amount. Beta cells produces insulin that helps the glucose to enter the liver cells and the muscle cells, thereby decreasing the amount of glucose in the blood. And we have the delta cells, which produces somatostatin. Remember all of these, guys, because as we go along with the diseases, we will meet these terms again. Then we have the pineal gland, which produces melatonin that induces sleep. We have the thyroid, which produces calcitonin, regulating serum calcium level by decreasing its amount in the plasma. And then we have the thyroid hormones, the T3 and the T4, which controls the rate by which glucose is used by the cell as a source of energy. Then we move on to the parathyroid, which produces parathyroid hormone, which also regulates calcium serum level by increasing its amount in the blood. And the thymus produces thymosin, a hormone stimulating production of the T lymphocytes in the immune system. And last, we have the gonads, ovaries, which produces two types of hormones, the estrogen and progesterone for female, and we have the testes, which produces testosterone, which is responsible for secondary sex characteristics of male. So let's talk about drugs acting on the endocrine system. Then they are divided into four: the hypothalamic and the pituitary drugs, the adrenocortical, the thyroid and parathyroid, and the antidiabetic drugs. Hypothalamic and pituitary drugs manage conditions like infertility, growth disorders, and hormone deficiencies by mimicking, ginagaya, blocking, or replacing hormones like growth hormone of gonadotropin-releasing hormone or GnRH and antidiuretic hormone or PDH. So what are the three hormones again? We have the growth hormone, also known as somatotropin. We have the gonadotropin-releasing hormone or GnRH. And we have the antidiuretic hormone, also known as vasopressin. So we have already talked about antidiuretic hormone in our renin-angiotensin and aldosterone system. So we'll be familiarizing ourselves with the growth hormone, which is the somatotropin and the gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay, so this figure indicates the GnRH, which is a hormone from the hypothalamus that regulates the reproductive system by signaling the pituitary gland to release the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, which are responsible for both male and female puberty. So, under hypothalamic and pituitary drugs, we have medical conditions that includes acromegaly and gigantism. We have diabetes insipidus, hypothyroidism, hypopituitarism, hyperpituitarism, and Cushing's disease. So I started with hyperpituitarism and hypo simply because the symptoms would depend on the overproduction of the hormones, which, if you notice, it includes gigantism or acromegaly as one of the medical conditions because there's excess growth hormone, Cushing's disease because there's excess ACTH or acetylcholine, and symptoms of hyperthyroidism. There's excess thyroid stimulating hormone. So the treatment varies depending on the hormone. It can include medications to block the hormone's effects, surgery to remove the tumor, or radiation therapy. Similar to hypopituitarism, there's an overactive pituitary gland that does not produce enough hormone, so symptoms depend on hormone deficiency as well. So it can affect growth. This you will see that beside acromegaly and gigantism, hypopituitarism would lead to delay the growth. Then treatment as well would include hormone replacement therapy or replace the missing hormone. So, starting off with acromegaly and gigantism. On all my slides, I already put together both hypersecretion and hyposecretion for us to understand the disease itself. So, wala na, parang hindi tayo mahilo kasi if we isa-isahin natin, we will have a lot of slides. So, I included both. So, as long as you know which one is hypersecretion and which one is hyposecretion, we will never go wrong, okay? So, let's start with acromegaly and gigantism, which is this one. So, medications would include SRL, meaning somatostatin receptor ligands, which block growth hormone release. Simply because, diba, gigantism has excess. So, SRL would block it. SRLs like octreotide. This is the first line medical treatment. So, when you see sa exam, acromegaly and gigantism, always remember octreotide. These are synthetic versions, okay? Synthetic to lahat, guys, na medications na ibibigay natin. Okay? Kasi we're talking about hormones. It's naturally produced by our body, but the medications we're taking are synthetic. These are synthetic versions of hormone somatostatin. They are usually given as monthly injections and can help normalize growth hormone and IGF-1 levels and may also shrink the pituitary tumor, responsible for this excessive production of the hormone. Then we have another medication, the dopamine agonist, which includes cabergoline and bromocriptine. These are taken orally compared to SRLs, which are injections. These are in tablet form and can be effective in milder cases or when somatostatin analogs are not sufficient. They also help shrink the tumor. And we have pegdisomant, which is a growth hormone receptor antagonist. This is a daily injection that blocks the growth hormone receptors on the liver cells, lowering the insulin-like growth factor IGF-1 production. It's often used for people who do not respond well to somatostatin receptor ligands. So this one, although SRL is the first line medical treatment, if the patient doesn't respond to SRL, then we have the growth hormone receptor antagonist, which is pegdisomant. So later, next slide, we'll be talking about somatostatin, which is a growth hormone deficiency. This is excess of growth hormone. So again, acromegaly in adults, gigantism in children. These are the medical terms. That's why it's acromegaly here in adults and gigantism in children. So these are all treated with first-line medical treatment, octreotide. Then we have bromocriptine, and if we have the pegdisomant for people who doesn't respond well to SRL. Remember that all of this interferes with growth hormone and have lower side effects. Moving on. So, somatotropin is the natural human growth hormone. Okay? Pansinin nyo, in every new medication that is manufactured, gagayahin nila yan para may recall. Like somatotropin. So, somatropin. Ang generic name ng treatment, yung gamot. So, the natural hormone is somatotropin, peptide hormone produced by the pituitary gland that plays a crucial role in the growth, metabolism, and body composition. So, the medication is somatropin. So, again, like what I said, it's a synthetic version of the human growth hormone, somatotropin, and physicians may prescribe this medication to treat specific health conditions including somatropin, including renal failure, short stature associated with Turner syndrome. Again, for children, it's gigantism. It's for we're talking about here now about for the growth hormone disorder. So if it's a growth hormone disorder, it's dwarfism, pituitary dwarfism, somatotropin deficiency, and hypopituitarism. These are other terms for growth hormone deficiency. So when we talk about somatropin, tandaan po, for growth hormone deficiency, which is, as we all know, dwarfism. But the other names are pituitary dwarfism, somatotropin, which is the growth hormone deficiency, and hypopituitarism. Somatrim, another medications, another name for somatropin, is indicated only for the treatment of children with growth failure due to lack of endogenous growth hormone. So, sa exam, pag nakita nyo yung somatrem, somatropin, so, dwarfism po yan, okay? Growth hormone deficiency. Let's move on with the thyroid hormone. The thyroid gland produces thyroid hormones and calcitonin. So we have hyperthyroidism, excessive production, or excessive levels of thyroid hormone in the blood, and we have the hypothyroidism, which is lack of sufficient thyroid hormone to maintain metabolism. So for a hyperthyroidism, there are several causes, one of which is Graves' disease. So palagi po yan. Graves' disease is hyperthyroidism. Graves' disease is an autoimmune disease characterized by overproduction of hormone, enlarged thyroid gland, and protrusion of the eye. So this is the typical pathognomonic sign or yung typical makikita mo sa mga patients na may hyperthyroidism. Okay, protruding eyes, di ba sa normal, enlarged thyroid. So, malaki po ang thyroid gland. So, makikita nyo yung medyo enlarged ang kanilang neck. Okay? Then, or the thyroid itself. For hypothyroidism, one possible cause is Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which also an autoimmune disorder causing undersecretion, kulang of the thyroid hormones leading to its decreased function, causing hypothermia, brady, hypotension, myxedema, or accumulation of polysaccharides in the interstitial space affecting the skin. So, Hashimoto's disease. It's an autoimmune disease which thyroid gland is gradually destroyed. So a healthy thyroid would look like this, but with Hashimoto's, it would be looking like this. So there's enlarged and inflamed underactive thyroid or goiter. So patient may feel fatigue and sluggish, unexplained weight gain, increased sensitivity to cold, and common manifestations will include constipation, excessive or prolonged bleeding during menstruation, pale or dry skin, enlargement of the tongue. There's some muscle aches, weakness, body malaise, memory lapses or depression, and a puffy face, brittle nails and hair loss, and joint pain and stiffness. Then, as I've mentioned a while ago, one complication of hypothyroidism is eczema, coma, or crisis. This is a life-threatening complication of severe untreated hypothyroidism. So this condition occurs when the thyroid gland fails to produce enough thyroid hormone. So what are the triggers? We have infection, cold exposure, di ba? Ang hypothyroidism as one of the manifestation was um, mabilis siyang lamigin. So drugs, and also trauma. What are the labs? You would notice there's increase in TSH, low levels of T3 and T4, low levels of sodium, and low levels of glucose. Signs and symptoms will include altered mental um, status, hypothermia, bradycardia, hypotension. And the treatment would be IV thyroid hormone replacement, IV hydrocortisone, passive rewarming, then treat the underlying cause and supportive care. If you see sa exam, ang myxedema coma is associated with hypothyroidism, the life-threatening complication. Okay, when hypothyroidism is left untreated. So here's a diagram of the difference between hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism. So for hyper, we have weight loss. Opposite that is weight gain. Then hyper, increased appetite. For hypo, decreased appetite. Heat intolerance. There's one is cold intolerance. Tachycardic impatience with palpitations and arrhythmias. In hypothyroidism, bradycardia or mababa ang heart rate. Then here, we have diarrhea and it's the opposite for hypo, constipated and patient. Pag hyperthyroidism, there's anxiety, nervousness, irritability, we have insomnia, tremors. On hypo, we have fatigue, depression, impaired memory, concentration as well, mental fog. Pag hyperthyroidism, increased hair and nail growth, increased sweating, while on the opposite, pag hypo, hair loss and thin nails and dry skin. So you have to at least memorize one, then you can be able to differentiate the two because the symptoms are just opposite. So drug of choice for hypothyroidism is thyroid hormone replacement. We have the levothyroxine, which is a synthetic salt of T4, which is most frequently used replacement hormone because it's predictable bioavailability and reliability. We also have the liothyronine, a synthetic salt of T3, used because of its rapid onset and long duration of action. So triiodothyronine, which is T3, and thyroxine, which is T4, are the two main hormones produced by the thyroid gland that regulates metabolism, growth, and development. Like what I've said, ang gamot natin would be a synthetic form of that, which is T4 levothyroxine and T3 liothyronine. What are the nursing considerations? You should administer before breakfast to ensure consistent therapeutic levels. Kasi, di ba, we take blood sample every day if patient is admitted in the hospital. But if patient is taking it sa bahay, then ang levels nito would be according to like kung ilan yung gamutan, and then the doctor will order like you need to come back for um, blood results. So you should advise periodic blood tests to assess levels of thyroid hormones and PSA. Kasi these type of medications are the ones that we taper it, diba? Pag medyo iti-taper, meaning babawasan or dadagdagan after we check the laboratory. Then assess for possible adverse effects like anxiety, skin rash, tachycardia, and hypertension. This is nursing considerations for hypothyroidism. What about hyperthyroidism? We have an anti-thyroid drugs, which is thioamides, commonly known as PTU. Okay. These drugs prevent formation of thyroid hormones within the thyroid cells, lowering the serum levels of thyroid hormones. They also inhibit the conversion of T4 to T3 at the cellular level. We observe iodine solution. Low doses of iodine are needed in the body for the formation of thyroid hormone. High doses, however, block the thyroid function. So low doses of iodine solutions for hyperthyroidism. What are nursing considerations? We also need to monitor thyroid hormone levels regularly, administer PTU round the clock as ordered to ensure consistent therapeutic levels, administer iodine solution using straw to prevent staining of the teeth. Kasi yung iodine solution, nakakastain ng ngipin. Then, tablets may be crushed and we monitor client's response to the drug. Let's move on to Cushing's versus Addison's disease. Cushing, it means cortisol secretion is high, where Addison's cortisol and aldosterone secretions are low. So, cortisol is a stress hormone, while cortisol and aldosterone, they're steroid hormones. So, what are the causes of Cushing? Start muna tayo sa Cushing. Causes are tumors within the pituitary or adrenal glands, or corticosteroids. Okay? Steroids. Yeah. Signs and symptoms. We have stress, skin fragile or thin, truncal obesity, yung likod, buffalo hump. Okay? We have reproductive issues like amenorrhea or erectile dysfunction. We have elevated BP, stria on extremities or abdomen, like this one. This, okay? Abdomen or extremities. Sugar high, polyuria or polydipsia sa urine, excessive body hair, and decreased potassium or hypokalemia. Also would be moon face. So buffalo hump, palagi yan po sa exam Cushing's, okay? Moon face. Moving on to Addison. What are the causes? It's an autoimmune damage to the adrenal cortex. It can also be cancer infected and trauma to the adrenal cortex. What are the signs and symptoms? We have salt hunger due to hyponatremia. So, mababa yung salt level. So, tired and weak, elevated potassium, hyperkalemia. So, notice that this is hyper and this one is hypo. Reproductive issues like hormonal imbalances, onset of hypotension, elevated BP dito, hypotension. Increased skin pigmentation, depression, and sugar low. Here is sugar high, then this one is sugar low. So, what are nursing considerations? So, we should avoid sudden withdrawal of steroids to prevent Addisonian crisis. Kung merong myxedema crisis, meron din tayong Addisonian crisis. So, we need to taper the dose if there's a need to discontinue. We monitor glucose, sodium, potassium levels. We monitor vital signs, especially BP. Because if you notice, both, it could either be elevated or hypotension sa Addison's. Elevated sa Cushing's. So, we need to monitor blood pressure. Avoid exposure to infection. Do not give live virus vaccine because the client is immunocompromised. Then, we monitor the CBC or complete blood count. Addisonian crisis or adrenal crisis is a life-threatening endocrine emergency caused by a severe lack of cortisol from adrenal insufficiency. It can be triggered by what? Stress, infection, or trauma. And symptoms would include extreme weakness, okay? Severe, mga extreme siya. Severe pain. There's confusion. Look, severe vomiting because it's a life-threatening medical condition. And low blood pressure, which can rapidly progress to shock and death without immediate treatment. Treatment would involve immediate administration of IV glucocorticoids and fluids, along with addressing the underlying cause. So, you can just read this para mas maintindihan niyo yung Addisonian crisis. So, investigation results would show hyponatremia, hyperkalemia, metabolic acidosis, hypoglycemia, and CBC. Patient is showing signs of anemia. So, serum cortisol, less than 20 microgram in severe stress or after ACTH stimulation and severe thyroid levels, assessed for autoimmune infiltrative or multiple endocrine disorder. So, medyo emergency talaga to, okay? Unexplained shock refractory to fluid resuscitation. If patient is hypoglycemic and hypotensive, then there's a very high chance that patient will have shock, even worst case scenario, might die. Let's move on to the parathyroid disorders. We have antihypocalcemic drugs. There's deficient levels of parathyroid of PTH results in hypocalcemia or calcium deficiency. So vitamin D stimulates calcium absorption in the gastrointestinal tract and restore calcium level in the blood. Then we have calcitriol, natural form of vitamin D. We have the synthetic vitamin D analog, which is the DHT or dihydrotachisterol. You can either choose if you want the natural form, then if you want the synthetic, or the doctor's, as per the doctor's advice. So what are the nursing considerations? We need to monitor serum calcium levels before treatment and periodically during the treatment. So what's the normal serum calcium range? It's 8.5 to 10.5 or 2.12 to 2.62 millimole per liter. So for a parathyroid disorder, serum calcium levels are typically high, with a range that can vary from slightly above normal, which is 10.5, above talaga, 8.5 lang siya, 10.5, to 11.9, and severely elevated to 14 milligram per deciliter. So provide supportive measures to help the patient deal with the GI and CNS effects and encourage to eat calcium-rich food. Move on to hypercalcemic drugs. There's excessive secretion of PTH that leads to increased calcium in the blood. So we have biphosphonates and calcitonin. So calcitonin is a hormone produced by the thyroid gland that lowers blood calcium levels by inhibiting bone breakdown and increasing calcium excretion through the kidney. Then we have the synthetic form by it's bisphosphonates, sorry guys, which are synthetic analogs of the naturally occurring inorganic pyrophosphate. So nursing consideration, again, monitor serum calcium levels. Then, bisphosphonate should be given with an empty stomach because it may cause GI reflux, gastroesophageal reflux, or GERD. Ensure adequate hydration to reduce risk of renal complications and reduce injection sites and monitor inflammation with the use of calcitonin. This one, to reduce injection sites. Before we talk about diabetes mellitus, let me give you a brief description of diabetes insipidus. Hindi naman to masyadong common, but you should know the difference. Because we would always hear about the diabetes mellitus, but seldom with the diabetes insipidus. So, Diabetes insipidus is passage of unusually high volumes of dilute urine, which is more than 3 liters per day. Okay, so we have central diabetes insipidus or CDI. The primary treatment is desmopressin, a man-made version of ADH, which is the main treatment. It's available as a pill, a nasal spray injection, and it helps reduce urine output. Well, then we move on to NDI, nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Primary treatment is non-hormonal drugs that are typically used because the kidneys don't respond to ADH, antidiuretic hormone. Okay, ADH is antidiuretic hormone. Go back to the first slide that we've talked about. Then we have the thiazide diuretics. These help reduce urine output by causing sodium loss, which leads to more water reabsorption. So, let's go to diabetes mellitus. We have type 1 and we have type 2. So for type 1, body doesn't make enough insulin. It's caused by immune system reaction. It often starts with childhood. That's why before it was called childhood onset diabetes. Symptoms come on quickly and treatment is with insulin injections only. Type 2, the body doesn't respond to insulin, or insulin is produced by the beta cells, but the insulin produced may be ineffective, or there is a slow release of insulin from the beta cells or the liver cells, and the muscle cells are insensitive to the presence of insulin. Okay? Yung katawan natin, hindi masyadong nagre-respond to insulin. That's why you would hear like insulin resistant. That's type 2 diabetes. This is caused by lifestyle factors and genetic contribution. Okay? More common in middle age. It doesn't start with childhood. Symptoms may develop slowly and managed with drugs and lifestyle change. We have another type, it is gestational diabetes. It only happens during pregnancy. Okay? And is believed to be caused by a hormone-filled human placenta lactogen, which may decrease sensitivity of cells to insulin. And we also have diabetes mellitus associated by other conditions. These are diseases causing destruction of beta cells like chronic pancreatitis, which may lead to symptoms of diabetes mellitus. So, like what I said, with type 1, it's always injectables of insulin. But while type 2 may need oral form, or in addition, may need injectable insulin. So, common nowadays is for type 1 is this insulin pump. There's an infusion set, and when the blood sugar is low or high, it automatically prompts the insulin to give or reduce or to give instantly insulin. Okay. Management of type 1 diabetes in children is blood glucose management, insulin pump therapy, artificial pancreas. If it's really on the pag medyo long term na, then blood glucose monitoring to determine insulin needs and urinary or blood ketone monitoring. They also need to have physical activity and weight management and dietary management. Okay? Consume food rich in dietary fiber and low glycemic load. Limit saturated fat and sugary foods and processed food. With type 2 diabetes, we have, una muna sabihin ng doctor is lifestyle modification, like balanced diet and exercising. Then, moving on to oral form of medications. Then, glucose monitoring, like HbA1c test and the finger stick. Okay. HbA1c test measures average blood glucose levels over past 2 to 3 months. And the goal vary between patients, but maybe low, below or equal to 6.5 to 7. Okay? The finger stick, daily po ito. I think you've seen this. Maybe even some of you have relatives who are diabetic with type 2 diabetes. So, um, we routinely do finger stick. Oral medications would include metformin, which is often the first line medication. It lowers glucose production by the liver and improves the body's response to insulin. We have the sulfonylureas. It stimulates the pancreas to release more insulin. And we have the TZDs, or the thiazolidinedione. Make the body more sensitive to insulin. Di ba, insulin resistant tayo. Yung type 2 daw, insulin resistant. So, these medications make the body more sensitive to insulin. Then we have the gliptins. These are the latest. These are just not new in the market actually, but these are DPP-4 inhibitors. It helps the body produce more insulin and reduce glucose production by protecting incretin hormone. We have the alpha-glucosidase inhibitors. It slows the rise of blood glucose after meals. Meglitinides stimulates the pancreas to release more insulin, and the SGLT2 inhibitors blocks the reabsorption of glucose in the kidney. So, very common po yang sulfonylureas, metformin, and this one. He said this. Okay? Thiazolidinedione. Difficult. It's a mouthful of words. Okay. Then we move on to injectable medication. Of the insulin, it replaces or supplements the body's own insulin to directly lower blood sugar. It comes in different types. We have the rapid-acting, long-acting, short-acting, also administered via syringes, pens, or pump. We have the GLP-1 receptor agonist. It mimics a hormone that signals the body to make more insulin, which helps lower blood sugar. Some of these medications can also assist with weight loss. We have the dual GLP-1 GIP receptor agonist, combination of medications that work similarly to GLP-1 agonist but also triggers GIP receptor. Ito guys, comes in injectables, single lang siya. These are currently now even safe for children. Just to monitor the blood sugar, to lower the blood sugar. Okay? Maririnig yung GLP-1 and GLP-1 and GIP. So, insulin types and timing, we have the rapid-acting, which is known as Lispro or Aspart. We have the short-acting or the regular insulin, the intermediate or the NPH, and the long-acting, which is the Glargine and Detamir. So, onset is 15 minutes. Rapid-acting nga eh. Short-acting, 30 minutes to 1 hour. Once sub-Q, di ba? Once given, so kung mataas ang blood sugar, obviously naman po ha, mataas ang blood sugar, binibigay itong insulin, okay? Hindi po binibigay ito sa mababa. Okay, kalimutan po yun, okay? Mataas. Kaya tayo nag-i-insulin sub-Q. So, rapid acting, if kailangan talaga bumaba ang glucose level, blood glucose, to 15 minutes. Short acting, 30 minutes to 1 hour. Intermediate is 1 to 2 hours, and long acting is 3 to 4 hours. So, peak. After giving 15 to 30 minutes, peak is 30 minutes to 3 hours, 20 minutes to 4 hours, 4 to 12, and no peak. So, that's why long acting is, doon sa mga patients na type 1, they would choose long acting. So, duration is, no peak pa din to. Duration is 3 to 5 hours. Then, duration here is 48 hours. Then, 14 hours yung intermediate. Intermediate is, sinasabing intermediate, hindi po siya clear. Okay? Cloudy to. Cloudy. This is clear. Both of this one. This is cloudy. So, this one is given with food. This for early hypoglycemia. No insulin option. Monitor during peak. This is cloudy. Roll before drawing and check at bedtime. And this one do not mix. So, here, from here to here, ito ang focus natin. Swerte kapag ang patient mo is long-acting and but this one is given, patients are trained to, uh, to inject this on their own, yung long-acting. But the intermediate types, guys, this one can also be given to type 2 diabetes, okay? Ito yung in combination. Aside from metformin, TSAIDs, so bibigyan pa rin siya. Kung hindi talaga nakokontrol ang sugar level ng patients, maririnig mo yan. Tapos yan, rapid acting kasi, bawal kumain ng ganito. Kumain pa din, nag-ice cream, nag-cake, after a party. Isang subo lang dapat, isang malaki ang kinuha. So, ang sasabihin is, meron naman akong ano dyan, gamot. Yeah, but it's your choice. So, we have these two, short acting and rapid acting.